What's up, guys? It's TRT77, and I know it's been a while since my last upload, but that's kind of because I've taken a break from the Draft League format as a whole. Wasn't that long of a break, but we are still playing Pokemon, and this time around, what I have for you is DTT content. Now, what is DTT? DTT stands for Draft Team Tour. It's a team tour, and if you're not familiar with what that is, it is basically we have players who apt to be captains. Once the captains are selected, they have to go through a player auction for the remainder of the players who apt to be contestants in the format. And basically we form teams, and there's 4 formats in the competition. You have Nat Dex, Gen 8, you have Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, you have Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, which is Gen 6, and we have ADV, which is Gen 3. So each team is usually 7 players, and how we do this team tour is a little bit different to other team tours. This is a bit more closed off. We don't really have it isn't open apps to everyone. It's usually kept within a bubble of players, and we have an app limit so that everyone within the small group also ends up getting drafted no matter the skill level. And so what the content I'm going to be bringing you regarding DTT is going to be, for one, as you can see from the title of this video, we are doing captain interviews first off, and we're starting off with Gao from the mighty Magikarp, and we'll be moving on week by week. This isn't really a spoiler alert because I will be posting a doc below and everything, but we were drafted by the cult of Tyler Fister, and Fist is our captain. So we will probably get to Fist last of all the captains when we're doing the captain interviews, and it should be a fun ride. I will be doing weekly recaps of at least my team's games, and usually I'll try to get one of my teammates on with me so that we can do it together. So that being said, guys, I will have Gao on the call, and we will begin the interview right now. Alright, Gao, so now we're on, and I'm going to start off with my first question to you. Did you have like a particular thing you were looking at going into the draft? Were you looking at certain players lower down, or what was your exact strategy when you started, like when you signed up to be captain? What was your plan for the auction exactly?
Yeah, so I actually thought the auction would go, I mean, maybe I should have like looked back at what happened in season 1, but I definitely thought it'd be like slower to start, just because I was thinking like people would more nominate players that they weren't particularly interested in just to drive up bids. But really, that ended up not working out my way, because I mean, pretty soon in the draft I ended up having 3 players early in JD, Cherry, and Scamp. So I mean, but my big overall thing was I just wanted to secure someone that I saw as like one of the top coaches in this draft. So really going in, I was looking at like you, Clay, Lambo, or I thought I might be able to get away with something with Scamp, which I'm still happy with the value I got on that. But yeah, so really I just wanted to make sure that I got someone that's more of an all-rounder, that definitely that's going to take care of Nat Dex, which I mean obviously pretty much every coach here we don't need the experience, but that just kind of locks that up. I know how great Scamp it is.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's someone that I definitely targeted early. Just because I don't want his janky ass heat sets beating us, so I figured I had to grab him. So yeah, so I was really happy with how the beginning of the draft turned out, and then it's really just, I mean, especially because I had so much of my team early, I just kind of wanted to sit and drive the price up on other teams, more or less.
Yeah, that you did. Oh my god, you did that to us so much. I'm not gonna say any expletives here, but there were definitely expletives thrown at you on the VC after Fist drafted me, and we were trying to get anything else. Oh my god.
To be fair, I didn't drive the price up on anyone that I wouldn't have been more than willing to pay that price to have on the team. But I was like, well, I'm not going to let anyone go for cheap, especially with I'm playing with a small budget from how aggressive I was in the beginning. So
yeah, absolutely. Did you have like in addition to that, did you have like particular strategy for how you were norming players?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, my initial plan was to nominate players that I thought would just, there would either be more interest. So I mean, like really, like when I was nominating Scamp, I thought that, I mean, at that point there was a run on like Clay had just went for 50. I think that was right after you had went for just like 42. So I was like, well, I'll nominate Scamp. I think maybe people will be scared off by it. And then I realized like as I nominated Scamp, I'm like, I don't know why I did that because I want him on my team. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So at that point, I'm like, I was just aggressively bidding. I'm like, I'm gonna get Scamp because I mean, if I didn't get Scamp, then probably the next person on my radar was gonna be. At that point, I was like, I'm just gonna be quiet for a while, and then Lambo probably would have been the next person on my radar, which I would have just waited till they were nominated. But no, it worked out really well for us. I think that we got Scamp early, and we had a lot of our core team, so it really just let me be a little more aggressive with our points after that point. After I secured what I'm kind of assuming is the team's ace, and then going from there.
Absolutely. The next question I have for you is, what's the reason or the meme behind the team name? And I'm going to put up your logo here. It's a glorious logo, the Mighty Magikarp with the 8-pack Go and 6-pack Ash. But Pikachu's thick though, but yeah.
Yeah, there's really no reason. I literally just Googled like meme Pokemon images and I saw that one come up. I'm like, yep, that's perfect. Magikarp's always a favorite. I mean, I'm guessing I'm one of the few people that have ever drafted a Magikarp, made it a Z captain, and actually brought it to a game. It's flopped poorly, but I mean, it's still worth it.
Did you actually run Z Splash in a game?
I bet I could find the replay because it was an MPBA, but yeah, I had it for like 1 week. I ran the Z Splash, and then obviously I had to drop that because it's just fucking terrible. But it got the Z Splash off, and then just died instantly. Which is about what you'd expect.
It got the Z Splash off, though.
It did.
That's what matters at the end of the day, though. I swear, your logo, the first time you put it out, I was just like, yes, this is glorious. Oh my god.
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, the logo's just not taking anything too seriously. It's just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So my third question for you is, which of the formats is your favorite to play? Obviously, we have the 4 formats: Natdex, Oras, USM, and ADV. Which one do you think would be your favorite, and what you're more likely to play?
Yeah, so I mean, Natdex is definitely where I'm going to be most familiar. I mean, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon definitely seems like a fun one as well, just because it's a little bit of a throwback. We get Z moves back, so that'll be good. ADV is definitely not something I have experience with, but at the same time, it just seems like it'll be a fun, wild format with just a lot less removal and just a lot less playing around with stuff. So I think ADV is going to be the most interesting one that I'm personally looking forward to grabbing at least one game this season.
Yeah, especially because one team ended up drafting, how many spinners was it? Oh my god. That is definitely going to be a question for Grum when he comes on here, is just how many spinners do you need in ADV? But yeah, how about Oras? Have you tried looking into that format much?
Not a whole lot. I mean, that's definitely, I mean, it's going to kind of fall into the same way that I think of Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, where it's familiar, but at the same time, it's definitely gonna have to be knocking some rust off and reacquainting myself with the format. But I mean, that's definitely where, going back to draft strategy, after I essentially secured our core of players, and I think we might get into this more later, so I won't dive in too much, but that's definitely where I made sure I'm like, I specifically want a coach that knows that format, and that's how Jack filled into our draft plans. So, I mean, it got him for a bargain, and that worked out beautifully.
Yeah. So the next question I have is, who was the one player early or one player late that got away in the auction from you? Like someone you wanted badly, either when you had the budget or when you didn't.
Yeah, so again, this is going to kind of go back to what we talked about earlier, where like I definitely wanted to secure that ace. So I mean, obviously Fist and I got in a little bit of a bidding war for you. I mean, Tago is definitely up there too, and that was like first overall, so I'm like, I don't know how to react to the very first pick and just blowing my budget. So I think admittedly, I probably would have pushed that a little, in hindsight, I probably would have at least pushed that up a little higher to make Tago go for more, just because he is just crazy good. But definitely like you, Clay just going for 50, I mean there's just nothing you can do about that. I mean, Clay was definitely someone I was going to target. But yeah, I'd say the big one is losing out to Fist bidding for you. But really, I think it worked itself out for our team and gave us a little bit more budget. And I mean, already at that point too, we had already acquired 2 players, so that would have really stretched our budget thin if I would have had to go up too much higher on you. But you were definitely someone that I was looking for, especially for that ORAS
Yeah.
experience. That would have been really nice for the squad.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. But you know what's nice for me is one, y'all somehow ended up with all the steals. Like, quite a few. You got Critic for what, 20k? Which was like,
Yeah.
I thought that was like ridiculous. But then I realized, he was nommed a little later when everyone had a little less budget. The Targo pick, I feel like, because he was nom first, no one knew with a 100k budget being like, the twofold
That is
increase. No one knew what was.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I was just like, I know Tago's worth, Tago could probably just be worth 50, 60 on his own because he's an insane player. But I'm just like, yeah, it's like first pick. You don't want to be out on everything else, but no, I think he was a bargain at going under 40.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the next question. Who was the one player on your team or any of the other teams that you think is going to surprise everyone this season and just absolutely wreck some teams?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the 3K last pick on the squad, Frito. So, just looking at his... just like the little intro he did on the thing and in that server, really, it's like, in my opinion, even if you haven't had necessarily a lot of draft experience, which he still has quite a bit of, anyone that can successfully play ladder, I always see that as something as really any good Mons experience, whether it's just going to be OU, you're playing a lot of ladder, that always transitions over. Once we got him, he was incredibly active with formulating our draft plans. He's actually kind of surprised me just in our prep process so far this week with what he's came up with for ADV, and really he's been contributing everywhere. So I definitely expect him to be that guy that's maybe you wouldn't expect the last guy in the squad to grab a bunch of wins, but I have every bit of confidence that he's going to surprise some people this season.
Okay, so y'all heard it first. Gal thinks Frito's going to take some lives.
I do.
So, how confident do you feel in the way your team drafted? And which draft do you think y'all did best in among the formats?
Yeah, I am pretty happy with all of our drafts. If I had to pick one that I think it's just looking really clean and I think it's just going to fit itself perfectly, I'm going to go ahead and stick with our Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon squad, which just one, it's got Kyron Black with Z moves, so that's just busted in and of itself.
Yeah.
But then we really did a good job of building around it. First three picks, we get that incredibly solid Dragon Fairy Steel core with Clef just doing things like Clefable does. And then regular Scizor at 13 just seems like an absolute steal. On top of that, we have a ton of momentum to keep getting Kyron Black in with Scizor, Azelf, and then Pangoro just really being able to drop those U-turns and that parting shot just to really just create more and more nightmare situations where you just have to keep sacking stuff to Kyron Black.
Yeah.
On top of that, as far as like budget Z move users go, Charizard for 3, obviously it's not a format where he can sit there and hold the boots or anything like that, but really at the same time, we've got enough removal, especially with Blastoise, Mega, just being able to rapid spin, Scizor being one of the best defoggers. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with just the different Z sets it can run.
Yeah, and also, this is actually something I don't know if you knew earlier, but you guys have Cherry, and I think Cherry's probably the guy who plays Yusum the most in your team, if I'm not mistaken. And he loves Clefable. I don't know, he has an obsession with Clefable from like other leagues I've done with him before.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had so much Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon experience when we drafted him, because I knew that was something that Scamp kind of specialized in. So we had a lot of overlap in that draft to really just create something. Really, just I feel like that draft ours just feels busted to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now on to the next question. Which team do you see as your biggest competition? Either based on whether you looked at their draft like your matchups aren't great against some of their drafts, or whether just individually as a group of players. Which team do you see as your biggest competition?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's gonna be, in my opinion, I think that's just gonna be this team. The one thing that I didn't get, especially this comes up in the Nat Dex draft, I think. Well, first off, you guys just had a lot of great positioning anyway, but
yeah.
Omega Red, Alpha Sapphire, Gardevoir Mega is just, it's nuts. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Tapu Koko, also just nuts. I don't get how you guys were getting kind of clowned with, like when you took that Mega Zam, second pick overall, people were just like, it's like the 5th best Mega. I'm like, that's nuts. No, Mega Alakazam is just absolutely, utterly insane. And then you guys paired that with Rotom Wash, Incineroar, just that pivoting. And then you also stole that 2-point absolute bargain Clefairy from us, which that messed up our draft plans a little bit.
Yeah,
Just because, I mean, I feel like we can talk about this now. So really, at the end of our draft, when we grabbed Typhlosion into Mr. Mime, we were really planning on when we took that Cradily pick, we were just like, do we take Cradily now because it fits so well with our sand? Or do we grab that Clefairy knowing that's going to be the fairy that's just going to really cheaply fit our budget, be super bulky, not going to get hurt by the sand with Magic Guard? And then you guys just had to take it away from us. But
I swear I had to convince the team on it to take Clefairy early because I was like, nobody has points. There's 3 teams that need a fairy. We need to jump on this now because we needed the Dark Resist. Like our other fairy, I think on that format was Klefki, which it's nice, but you know, like a secondary Dark Resist is what we needed for Zam. And then Clefairy just gives us the pivoting as well with the option of teleport.
No, I mean it's just an absolute bargain at 2, but we couldn't pass up on. I mean, Cradily and Sand for 2 points. That thing's just an absolute.
Oh my
tank.
god,
we
it's
just
unkillable.
We couldn't risk passing it. Yep.
It
was the end of that draft is a little. Not that Typhlosion's bad, but I feel like it's a little one-dimensional. So we'll see how that goes. But
yeah, it's a little bit of a one-trick pony as a mon.
But, for sure.
Yeah, but with the speed tiers, and since it's 9 mon, I guess you guys can get flexible with the sets. That's why I like the limited mon format for this, since we're not doing 11 mons. We get to see a few more creative sets, because not everybody's going to check everybody, so that part 100%. Is going to be much more interesting. And now our last question is, what's a warning shot or some trash you want to talk to the other teams about your team?
I mean, look, I'm just gonna say it now. Like, we're probably not even gonna drop a game. Like, it just seems like our roster just seems stacked. Whether you're looking at the draft, the group of versatile coaches that we have. I mean, I don't know. I just got a feeling that we're gonna surprise some people. So I mean, I don't know that. Like, 'cause I know like Cherry's more or less like a newcomer. It seems like. I mean, Frito going for 3K just seems like an absolute bargain. No one else even put a bid on him. And this guy seems like he has experience out the wazoo. Scamp is just a mad Irishman that, I mean, if you underestimate him for a second, he's just gonna come up with some wild shit. I mean, even just like Critic, which we touched on just a little bit earlier, but I mean, I think he got slept on in the draft. I mean, I know Fist and I got a little bit of bidding war for him, but I saw Critic. I'm like, I'm getting him. I'm very willing to blow my budget. JD is, I mean, he was a really early pick for us too, and boy, I think in every draft that we had, whether it was Natdex to Ultra Sun to Omega Red Alpha Sapphire, he was drafting like big plans for us. He's been big in the prep this week. I feel bad that I didn't get him on the lineup for this week, but I mean, both him and Critic, they're all over the place. They're really good. They're really good coaches, and I don't think there's a coach on the squad. I'd say I'm probably the weak point for these guys. So, and I feel like I'm no scrub, but I'm definitely like the weak link here. I think these guys are definitely gonna carry their weight. I'm just gonna make sure I put them in the right spots. But yeah, I think we could really beat anybody.
That's great here, man. But also, yeah, it's a good problem to have. You know, going into a week and be like, sure. Oh my god, we have too many players to fill. Trust me, season 1 card stall, we didn't have that problem because we didn't have subs. That's why we had the whole rule change and we cut a format for season 2. So, thanks for coming on, Gao, and it was great having you. Good luck for the season, unless you're playing us, in which case I hope you get hacked. This has been fun. I'm hoping as we go along the season we get to do more. Maybe we'll get another run around like during playoffs and we'll see like game recaps and stuff like that. But thanks for coming on, bro. Sure.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll wish you guys good luck for every week but week 7, which we're just going to bury you guys in the dirt. You guys aren't going to pick up a single match on us, so.
We'll see when we get there, bro, won't we?
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Alright, bro. So that's going to be it from us, guys. We will be back next week, and I actually don't know who's going to be our next week's coach, because honestly, I just only asked who wanted to go up first. But we're going to have one captain a week. And so this week, we don't play anybody. Like, the way it goes is since there's 7 teams, one team always ends up having a bye. And this week we have a bye, so there's not going to be any game recaps from our games particularly. I will talk to the guys if Lambo maybe wants to do game recaps on his channel, which I will be linking Lambo's channel in the description. Please check out his content. He does make lo-fi music as well, which is really nice. So, and he's probably going to be, we're discussing whether we'll be doing any other DTT content. But that's going to be it from me, guys. This is TRT77, and this is me signing off.